The Model X is Henry's tactical suppressor-ready lever gun, and in this video, we're going to get hands-on with it. Gavin Gee here from UltimateReloader.com. I'm back with Guy Miner. Thank you, Guy, for joining us.
Hey, you bet. We're doing lever action today. I'm excited about that.
And I am too. My last lever action was, believe it or not, a BB gun. This has been in the works for such a long time. I've had my eye on a tactical 30-30 lever gun for probably the last 10 plus years, and the day has finally come. So we got a lot to cover in this video. We're going to get this Model X out of the box. We're going to show you what's included. We're going to look at the bore with the bore scope. We're going to put it on the trigger scan. We're going to shoot it suppressed. We're going to shoot it unsuppressed. We're going to throw a red dot on it. We're going to throw a scope on it. What are we not going to do? This is an Ultimate Reloader gun story. We're doing it all.
We can't hunt with it yet.
Okay, why don't you do the honors? Let's see what's in the box.
Okay.
Now, of course, we have had this out of the box because we're an FFL and we had to check the serial number and log it into our books. But we will recreate what we experienced. Would you look at that?
Wow.
You know, one of my favorite things about this is right here on the very, very end of the barrel. It's threaded 5/8 24, and that means we're ready to roll. We could throw a brake on it if we wanted to. We can throw a suppressor on it, which we definitely will do.
I like the idea of the suppressor. That's going to be real nice. This thing's got some nice features, and I love how smooth that is.
Let me see.
Action is
nice. I gotta try this. Okay. Yeah, that's really nice. Okay, so we've got the rifle itself. We've got this tag right here. Yep. And that is about all there is in the packaging. So we got it out of the box. Let's talk specs and features. I really like this package.
I do too. It's very practical lever action rifle. I'm looking forward to shooting it.
Yeah, it's got really everything that I was looking for. I wanted something 30-30. I don't know why. I just wanted that classic 30-30 cartridge. I definitely wanted the threaded muzzle for a suppressor, and for the entire, fore end here to be designed appropriately. Tube length and all that is an issue if you're going to do aftermarket gunsmithing. Sometimes you have to cut the tube down. To have something that is ready to go from the factory like this, 5/8 24, we have a number of suppressors that are going to work with this. Don't ask me why, but I just had to do a suppressed lever gun,
I'm good with that. Yeah, why not? It's legal for hunting here. You're not going to bother the neighbors.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's just cool. I'll have to admit.
That's true.
It's just totally fun and totally cool. So the model number on this is H009X. This is the 30-30 model. There's other models available. 5-round capacity in the tube. The tube can be loaded either by the side gate or by the tube.
Right.
Is that correct?
Right.
Yep.
That's a nice change that Henry's made in recent years. For a long time, they did not have the side gate, and I'm glad to see it there.
Yeah, very, very cool. MSRP is $10.51 as of the publication of this video. So, of course, your street price is going to vary on what your dealer decides to charge. Could go above or below, depending on demand.
There was a time when we could say it was always going to be below MSRP, but gun prices are a little wild and crazy these days.
Yep. It's got a really attractive synthetic stock. You've got a generous butt pad here. We're going to see how effective that is once we shoot it. We've got this lower rail here on the front of the fore end, which I think is really nice. You were mentioning...
We had a wounded bear,
yep,
and we were trailing it, and it got real dark. Sun went down, and it got dark, and there we are in the brush with a bear out there somewhere. And we did not have any weapons lights. So flashlight in one hand, pistol in the other. It was, yeah.
A little easier to do with a pistol than it is with a rifle,
than a rifle, yeah. So I really like the idea of that rail up there for mounting a nice bright flashlight on there for things like that. Or, suppose you've got a place out in the country and you get a bump in the night.
Yeah.
It's real nice to be able to light things up.
Very, very realistic scenario around here. We're on 55 acres. We're kind of in the middle of nowhere. And, people have woke up to cougars on their back porch right through this glass slider. Okay.
Yeah.
You got to be ready to roll with something, and something that you're confident with. This is a cool feature. So the scope rail is Weaver 63B.
Right, very common, very popular scope rail for lever guns.
Yep, and we have that rail. We got a pick rail that's going to bolt right on here, screw down rather, and so we're going to be looking at red dot. We're going to be looking at scopes and that kind of thing. I really appreciate that working with the aftermarket industry on sort of a standards-based approach to parts and components. It's kind of like having a Remington 700. If your trigger is compatible, if your footprint is compatible, it just opens up all sorts of opportunities for you.
These are nice sights. I got to admit, for hunting purposes, the contrasting colors and that
fiber optic.
Yeah, very nice and bright. I'm looking forward to getting behind those and sending some rounds downrange.
Here's another thing to consider that Henry's built into the design is, you're ready to roll, and you want safety, right? If you're ready to roll. So with the transfer bar ignition, you can lower the hammer and not worry about ignition.
Right.
Dropping, bumping the weapon, whatever, just like on a revolver.
I'd still be real careful.
Of course.
But yes, that shouldn't go.
Yep. Some other things here. We've got M-lock. We've got integrated swivel studs, right, built into the fore end and the butt stock. Really nice blued appearance on the barrel. This is and like we mentioned, the cycling of the action. It's really slick.
It is. I was impressed the first time that I operated it. It was like, wow, that's pretty nice.
Cool. So why don't we next take an in-depth look at the trigger. We installed the Model X in the TriggerScan TS11 trigger profiling device and had a very clean 3-scan pass. Great consistency. Peak force was yielded at 3.54 pounds. Travel to actuate was 24 thousandths of an inch, and over travel was 31 thousandths of an inch. Why don't we look down the bore?
Good idea.
So here at Ultimate Reloader, we use the test long bore scope. So we've got the NTG 100H here. This is a 26-inch rigid bore scope. I have a mirror kit here that I'm using. On the lathe, I use the NTG 100P, which is intended for pistols, and is great for reaching in there and looking at the chamber while you're cutting it. So we have not done anything to this rifle other than test it on the TriggerScan. We've pulled the trigger a few times. We haven't cleaned it. We haven't done anything so far. So let's take a look here. Got the crown. This crud on the end here actually came off the inside of the thread protector when I screwed it back on. I did a quick inspection of that. So that's just a wipe off kind of deal. And here we are. So we see a little bit of copper in there from the test firing. But I don't see any machining marks or anything like that.
It looks pretty darn good, actually. I've seen a lot worse than that.
Yeah.
This is pretty sharp.
And for a lever gun, I'm not looking for that kind of match barrel I'm looking for in one of my, competition bolt guns or anything. But I do want to see good quality there. We got a little debris there. Oh yeah, it's actually hung up on the mirror there.
Looks like powder.
Looks like powder.
Burnt powder from the factory test fire.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. So there's the end of the rifling. Yeah. And what'll be interesting to see is how that looks after we've shot it for a while, after we give it a good cleaning. A little bit of carbon in there, but not too much.
Not bad.
Looks good. So here we are down in what we call the Ultimate Reloader Industrial Yard. We have a bunch of equipment down here, but we also have a whole bunch of really cool Caldwell steel targets that we've got set up. And we wanted to do this with you all in real time. We have not loaded the gun yet. We have not fired the gun, and we've been anticipating this for months. So let's do this.
All right, let's do this. Thanks for letting me have first crack at it.
Absolutely. I'd have it no other way.
Oh, feed's nice.
And this is Federal Premium, hammer down, 150 grain, soft point. That'd be a good deer cartridge, wouldn't it?
I think it'd be great for deer. Absolutely. Yeah. Maybe we'll find out.
All right, so how many you got in there?
Just 3.
Okay.
I go for this one, the big one here up close.
Yeah, that makes sense to start out with. Nice.
That's one bear.
All right, can I give it a try?
It was awfully fun.
Don't worry, there's going to be plenty more shooting for you to do once we get all these accessories installed and all that. That is nice, isn't it?
Yes.
4 and 5. This is why I always wear cargo pants. Got room for extra ammo, right? Okay, I'm gonna go straight for it. I'm gonna go for that top target. Hey! I'm in love. I'll admit it. I love this thing. That is a lot of fun. But let's increase our fun by adding a suppressor, a rail, and some cool optics. What do you think?
Sure. Why not?
All right, let's do it. That was fun. Those first shots were very rewarding.
What a hoot. Honestly, it's a fun gun to shoot.
It's a fun gun to shoot, but this rifle begs for add-ons and customization. It is just pretty much ready to roll. So let's walk through the progression of adding things and trying different things to this rifle. The first thing was to get the rail on there. And as we mentioned, this is a Weaver 63B, is that correct?
Yes, readily available. In fact, you can even get it straight from Henry.
Yeah, which is what we got. And there's 4 screws on the top of the receiver. You take those out. It comes with the supplied screws that screw right into the receiver. I used some Loctite. I followed the instructions. I used 20 inch-pounds on my Wheeler fat wrench, incrementally going from screw to screw, getting it all settled down evenly. First thing that we did after that was to put this sight mark red dot. Well, it's actually a Reflex Sight, which just clamps on to any Picatinny rail very quick. We just flop it around between guns. Headed back down to the range with the suppressor, and that kind of took things to the next level.
It did. That was a lot of fun. I hadn't shot a suppressed 30-30 ever, nor had ever shot with one of these reflex type sights on a 30. My 30-30 is very traditional.
Yes, as you are.
This got fun. This got really fun doing this. Yeah, thank you. I am.
Yeah, we set up that whole arena of Caldwell steel targets down there. We've got low targets, high targets, small targets, big targets, lots and lots of fun down there. But I felt like for some of this stuff, I wanted a little bit more precision and I wanted a bit more magnification. So after we all had a chance to try the Henry Model X, even the camera guys, everybody loved it. That was a unanimous verdict. I wanted to get this Crimson Trace Hardline Pro 1:6 scope on there. This is the scope that I got down at the Wheeler Moab event, and it was on my AR that I built down there, the Aero Precision. I thought to myself, what a perfect scope for this type of steel target shooting, or if you're hunting out to maybe 100, 200 yards.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we unclamped the Reflex Sight, torqued this guy down, and headed back down. I did a real quick sight in this time. We did not sight in the red dot, so we had to make some offsets on the fly.
Kentucky windage.
Kentucky windage, exactly. Hardline Pro, popped off the caps, got things within, I was happy within an inch at about, 40 yards, 50 yards, because, the targets we're hitting are about that big. And this, to me, took the experience to the next level. I should mention we also put on the hammer expander. This is a really cool device. Henry has machined a little track on the end of the hammer, like a little kind of guide system, and the hammer expander slides right onto it. It has a set screw, put a little bit of Loctite on that. Now we have ambidextrous hammer access when we're using a scope, and scopes do go definitely lower than this.
Right, I've got lower mounted scopes on my lever actions, and you need something like this to be able to get to the hammer safely, which you might want to do.
Yeah, and that brings up the point of how do you want to make safe here. This model rifle does not have an actual mechanical safety, but if you do want to carry chamber, and we were talking about this with a hunting scenario.
Yeah.
When the deer is 20 yards away, do you really want to go? Probably not. Especially if there's a few deer, right?
Yeah, and a lot of guys do that, but it's very much more silent to just, if you've already got a round chambered, to just cock that hammer back.
And if we pull the trigger back, we were experimenting with this just a few minutes ago. If you hold the trigger back just a little bit while you're pulling the hammer back, and then you release the trigger, you can do it completely silently.
Yeah. Which is nice because deer actually hear rather well.
Yes, and things don't seem very noisy until you're tiptoeing through the woods, right?
Click.
Yeah, exactly. Silent is good. So, you know, if you want to carry it unchambered, that would be a very traditional way to go, and that's perfectly legit. If you want to carry it chambered and then manipulate the hammer manually, this hammer expander is going to be super important if you have a scope.
And I've got to tell you that looking at what Henry tells us in the owner's manual, it is safe to carry this with a round chambered and the hammer down because of the transfer bar.
Transfer bar, you can bump that hammer, no problem. Yeah. Yep. And while we were shooting, the ammo that we're using for this story is the Federal Premium 30-30 150. It's got a soft point, 150 grain bullet. Nice looking nickel. Now see, this is where we gotta, you know, get our personal preferences out. Do you like the brass against the black, or do you like the nickel against the black? I mean, it's such a cool looking rifle that I mean, I'm really looking forward to adding some, you know, cartridge storage on it and maybe putting a light on it. I know that might make you cringe a little bit thinking of a light on a lever gun, but
actually, no. Having followed up a wounded bear into the Parker brush at night, I was looking for a light.
Yes. So why not?
Yeah.
Okay, so in all of our shooting, that steel shooting with the scope was just fun.
It was.
I was able to reach out a little bit further to the far small targets, and functioning. Perfect functioning.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Functioned really well. The addition of the suppressor and these other accessories on it, this is not a light gun. And it just soaked up that recoil, made it very, very pleasant to shoot. Not that the 30-30 has a gob of recoil anyway, but this thing became just a peach to shoot.
Yes. The last thing we did was to capture chronograph data. For velocity data, I used my standard setup of the Caldwell G2 chronograph, the companion app on my iPhone. We shot 5 shots through the chronograph, which yielded an average velocity of 2,281 feet per second, a standard deviation of 13 feet per second, and an extreme spread of 34 feet per second. That is pretty dang good for a lever gun.
Well, none of that, but for factory ammo.
Yes, indeed.
This is a reloading channel, but we do appreciate good factory ammo. And, you know, hats off to Federal. Nice job.
Within 4 feet per second of single-digit SD.
That is good. And, and I like the velocity. 2281 with a good 150 grain bullet. That should work beautifully for deer. Absolutely.
Yep. I definitely recommend this Federal hammer down ammo with this Henry rifle. So at the end of the day, my expectations have been met and exceeded. I was so excited to get this rifle, and I'm so excited now that I've shot it. I mean, this thing is awesome.
It does exactly what it's supposed to. It does it well. That was really nice. I had very little experience with Henry rifles, although lots of experience with lever guns over the years, but not Henry's. And this thing it's nice, and it's so smooth the way it functions. That was great.
And practical. Yes, it's cool looking. Yes, it's more on the tactical end of the spectrum, but the ability to mount optics readily, the ability to have a light if we want it down there, or even a laser, who knows what people want to do with this. The hammer extender, you know, the threaded muzzle, probably one of my favorite features. Factory threaded muzzle. I mean, why not have a threaded muzzle?
Exactly. It's got that nice little end cap if you don't want to run a suppressor.
Yep.
But the suppressor really made it an awful lot of fun to shoot.
Yep. Zero quality problems. Everything worked flawlessly. Really couldn't be happier. And so we should probably talk about what do we want to do next. Got some berries plated bullets, which you've already been working with in your lever gun.
Yep.
That'll be fun. Talking subsonic, talking economy. These are plated bullets.
Yeah.
Readily available. We have some Ftx bullets.
We do.
Those are the flexible tip bullets from Hornady.
Yep.
Specifically designed for lever guns.
We
have Lever Revolution powder as well.
We do.
We got a bunch of stuff to play with.
And that gave me some pretty good velocity out of my old 30-30.
Nice. Another thing, I just put this bipod on here. So yes, a Harris bipod will work with this swivel stud built-in plastic feature that's molded right into the stock, and it's plenty secure. It's a pretty beefy little ear that's a part of that fore end over here, and there's also the one here on the buttstock. I'd like to take this to 50 yards and to 100 yards, put a rear bag on it, and just kind of casually see, what we can do with different types of ammo and different types of shooting positions and configurations. Is this something that I'm going to use at long range? No, I have other guns for that.
Right.
But I still want to know.
Absolutely, and I think it's probably going to be pretty impressive. It shot so well yesterday. We made some good hits up there on the hill.
Yes, people were stacking shots on the steel, definitely.
Yeah, so very informal shooting yesterday, but lots of fun. And I think she's going to shoot just fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I talk you into a ballistics gel test too?
I was thinking that with this hammer down ammo. I mean, wouldn't you all like to see what would happen to a deer with this 150 grain hammer down and maybe some other stuff too? Maybe we could even do a roundup. Sounds like you're going to be cooking gel for a while.
That's fine with me.
It's a lot of work. Okay, so here's what we want to know from you all is what lever gun are you running? What cartridge are you shooting? Do you have a Henry? Which Henry do you have? Do you have the Model X? What do you think of it? Please drop a comment and we'll have a discussion. We got a lot to do to follow up here, don't we?
We do.
Okay, so that concludes this video, and that means it's time to wrap it up. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. Also, make your voice heard. If you have something to say, please drop a comment. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications because you're not going to want to miss the awesome content that is coming up. And finally, flex your reloading pride. You could look great in one of these t-shirts. We've got multiple designs at the Ultimate Reloader store. I'll see you later because I'm off to go shooting.